And we're now joined with the head coach of USC, Bill Ferguson, sitting here on the day of the NCAA tournament semifinals, just talking a little volleyball. And Coach, pretty good season for you guys. I know you'd be liking to play in these matches, but from just an outsider looking in, you guys had one great season from what it seems.
Yeah, we left everything on the court. We played, I think, as well as we were capable of all the time, and we were playing our best volleyball at the end of the year, which is what you want. I think a couple points go here or there, and maybe Michael Brinkley doesn't dig three balls towards the tail end of that fifth set, and maybe we are playing. I feel pretty strongly that we were one of the best few teams at the end of the year. However, our record didn't warrant us being chosen for the at-large, and I get it. And while we're disappointed that we're not playing, we're proud of what we did, and we have a mantra at USC says "fight on," and that's exactly what our team did all year.
And I want to ask you, I guess we have to start off with Micah Christensen. College career is now over. He'll probably have a pretty good international career, what one can imagine, hopefully win a few gold medals for the U.S. But what did he mean to USC in his time here?
He meant quite a bit. I don't know if I can quantify it verbally and do it justice. He's obviously a transcendent volleyball player and has a chance to be the best that ever did it, at the setting position in this country. And, I'm a setting snob, and I'm thinking of Dusty Dvorak when I say that. And I think it's cool that they both went to USC, and I think that he's got a chance to chase that. His college career was pretty exceptional. I think people are going to probably try to quantify his college career by our team's finishes, and while that may be fair in some respects, I think it doesn't quite paint the picture of what an exceptional student athlete he is. Aside from being a transcendent volleyball talent, he's a great student. He was over a 3.5 in the fall semester, and he spent a month of that fall semester at the World Championships. So he's a dedicated student, and I've said many times he's probably a better person than he is a volleyball player, and that's saying something. He's the kind of kid you want your children to grow up and be like. I think he's at the top of most babysitting lists for those that know him. Those are the things that I think that are the important things down the line, and which allow him to the character to be able to go into the practice every day and to understand the situation and drive himself to be the best he can be. He's obviously a competitive young man. He's had a lot of different things to draw off of, him being a high-level basketball player prior to being a volleyball player. So he's had different coaches and different methodologies, throughout his journey so far that I think will only help him as he gets older and moves on, and he's going to have a pretty cool pro career ahead of him, and it looks like that's going to come down here pretty soon.
Yeah. There were so many expectations put on him by the average volleyball fan just because of what he did with Team USA. Do you think it was unfair, just some of the expectations that people had, not in your locker room, but just the average USC fan?
I think so. I think people sometimes unfairly judged him, like I said, probably by the team's result, not his individual performance. There's plenty of plays that he made that don't go on the stat sheet that I think people don't have the privilege of understanding or knowing. In decisions he made on the fly, just balls that he was able to make hittable that 99% of the setters in the league had no chance at making a play on. I do think that was a little unfair, but that's sports, and that's why we do what we do. We try to always be the best we possibly can, and lots of times we're judged by our team success. It's a team sport, and I think he is in a lot of ways the ultimate teammate. So those are the things that I hope people will understand as time goes on.
All right, now over under 250 times this offseason, you'll be asked who's going to replace Micah as your setter. I'm putting the line at about 250. Do we think that's going to be an over or under?
I'll take it's going to be over that, yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, we've had two guys in our. Michael Malahy has been in our gym for 3 years, and Jack Yoder has been in our gym for 2 years. Michael's been the guy on the roster and been the backup. Jack is very capable of making a run here. I think if you had to, I think the money right now would be on Michael. But that's not to say that Jack couldn't do it. They're both exceptional setters. They both won championships in their junior club career and in their high school career. Jack with San Clemente and 949 Volleyball Club. Michael with Loyola High School and SCVC. So they're both winners. They're both big and physical. They're both about 6'6". They're both strong. They both are a very big blocking presence. I don't know if either of them can generate points from the service line like Micah could, but I do think they have a chance to create points at the net as blockers. Michael is a very good defender, probably a more technical setter, and Jack is more of a, I think, a just play by the flow kind of player. So they're very different in how they approach the game, but again, they're both very talented. They both understand winning. They've both been in the gym with Micah for 2 and 3 years, and so there's lots of things going on there. For Trojan fans, I made the analogy that we may be going from, Carson Palmer to Matt Leinart, possibly, or we could go from Matt Leinart to John David Booty, who John David Booty did win 2 Rose Bowls, owns every Rose Bowl passing record imaginable, and only lost 3 games as a starter. Yet he's looked at in relation to Matt Leinart, which I think is pretty unfair, and I unfortunately think that's probably going to be the case to whoever is the incumbent. But we're real happy with where we're at that position, and we've been able to develop those guys in the gym over the last couple of years. So we'll be in good hands. Yeah.
Now this year we got to see a lot of your young pin hitters, really start to take shape. Who do you feel amongst kind of your young crop of outside attackers, opposites could really emerge this offseason and getting into the next season?
The guy that's the most intriguing would be John Rivera. He started our match at UCLA and by and large played a great match. He, like most freshmen, struggled with consistency at a high level. He's got a bionic arm. I mean, there's nobody in our gym that has a better arm. He's, I think people, if you want to look in SC history, he's like physically he's like a Brooke Billings who played at SC, or a David McKenzie who's just got that terminal power, but not maybe the tallest, of the tradition. You think traditional opposites, a real tall, long attacker, and John's built more like Brooke and David were, where they're not maybe quite as tall, but they've got a real solid frame. They're very athletic and very explosive, and so he's the guy that's intriguing. But the other intriguing guy is Josh Kirkner, who had some flashes of brilliance this year and started most of the year prior to an injury. And, he's another guy that athletically, he jumps very well. He's tall, he's long, and he's a workhorse in the gym. So I think those two guys, Josh will be a senior, so he's only young experience-wise, and if you want to talk about youth, I think Tui's the guy that most people think of, and he's an exceptional volleyball talent. He's probably got one of the higher volleyball IQs in our league, and that was as a freshman. And so we're looking for big things. And what people, I think, may miss about Tui is Tui played in the Holiday Bowl on the 29th of December and then went home to Hawaii. Well, our team reported on the 29th. So Tui didn't practice until a few days into January. It was the first time he touched a volleyball all year, and he was able to do what he did in our league. So he was competing against guys that had an entire semester or 2 quarters to train and get to that point. What Tui did, Tui just picked up a ball and started playing and caught up and got to where he did. So, there's some conjecture of whether he'll play football next year or not. Our level of expectation when he came to USC was that he'll play football. But if he chooses not to and decides to go volleyball only, then, we'll be thrilled.
Yeah. 2 more questions before we let you go here. Now, I got to ask because I'm a Ball State guy, so what's your best Mick Haley story?
Oh, gosh. There's a lot of them. Mick Mick and Carrie worked with our club for a while at SCVC. I coached Hunter, his son. I don't know if there's one that I can put my finger on, but it's funny. Mick is, most people just see Mick the coach, and I got to see and get to see Mick the dad, and so I think I've seen him. I'll tell you a story that I think is pretty good. There's a girl named Kristen Kelly that ended up going to Washington State, but transferred to UC Irvine, and she was on her official visit to Washington State, and USC was on their way back from either the Washington schools or the Oregon schools. It was during those huge fires in Northern California, and their connector flights got shut down halfway through, and Kristen had been to Mick's camp, and so Mick knew her. She wasn't going to go to FC, but here's this 17-year-old girl that was stuck in an airport by herself and was going to have to stay there overnight. And Mick took her, and she knew, because she had been to Mick's camp, Mick knew her. She knew some of the girls. She was the reason I know that she played for me at SCVC at the time. And Mick said, damn the torpedoes, I don't care about the rules. At the end of the day, here's a 17-year-old girl that has nowhere to go and nothing to do. She's coming and staying at the hotel with us. And he went into dad mode, and that was one of the cooler stories about Mick that I don't think he cares if anybody knows, because he just did the right thing, and I think that's something that people will never get to see or know that I think they should.
Yeah. All right, and final question before we let you go, have to ask you, who do you got winning tonight's semifinal matches if you have to pick?
It's hard. It's like picking your favorite child. But I have to pick my MPSF child. Professionally, I think I got to pull for NIF. Mark Prussia and I played club volleyball together, so there's a little bit more going on there. While most people think Irvine and SC are at each other's throats, I think that's just when the whistle blows and when we're on the court. I love Pav. Shane Davis played with one of our LA Athletic Club teams in 2001 to win a men's open gold medal for us. And so I know him, and Dan Friend and I, kind of got our jobs around the same time and had the same trajectory of our program. So it's hard to pick. I think in the Penn State match, I think Nick Goodell is going to be the key for them. If he is on, which he was against us earlier in the year, unfortunately for us. But if he can balance the court and take some of the heat off of Russell, Penn State's team this year reminds me of our team in 2012 with Chiarelli and then a bunch of guys that really understood the game. I think Taylor Hammond's doing a great job running their offense. They're passing the ball well. Their middles are solid. They just do their job. And I think, no pressure on Nick, but I think Nick's been playing fantastic volleyball. And if he continues to do that, I think Penn State's the team that people aren't really thinking of. I think that I'm not afraid to say it. I don't think people are thinking they've got the chance, and I think they do. That team is good. They get it, and they understand who they are and what they do, and they play to their strength. Now Lewis, they're going to have to, I think, try to beat on the ball from the service line and do them, and block. But I think it's going to be tough. That is 100% going to be the serve pass battle. And if they get in trouble, Penn State gets in trouble in the passing, and Lewis is on from the service line, I think Lewis takes it. Penn State can pass. That's a toss-up and a coin flip. With Irvine and Loyola, Jevis is going to be the key. Can he hang? Irvine is pretty good at both their left pins.
Their opposite's pretty decent.
Their opposite is exceptional. Yeah. And Zach does a great job. But understand that Zach is going to be attacking against the heart of what makes Loyola work in Jeske and Caldwell. Right. And so That is going to be real interesting, and that may wash itself out. So you may have 3 rotations that are a total wash for both teams, and in that case, Loyola is going to have to rely on the BIC. And so those rotations where they're going to have to rely on the BIC, Loyola is going to have to pass well, which is what they do. They're in system more than not, and it's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure from Irvine. From the service line, they're going to have to get back there and beat on the ball, get the ball into Loyola's seams, and really, I think that's going to be the thing to watch. And then the story behind the story is, when is Niffen going to insert Michael Saeta as a serving sub, and at what point of the match or in each set or match is he going to do that, and into what rotation? That's going to be the key. Because Hershko is going to be able to generate points from the service line. Zach Lacavera certainly is going to be able to. And then Saeta is the guy that generated a lot of points for them on the front end of the season before Frazzoni took over the setting position. So now you're going to, his use of Saeta, I think, is going to be huge tonight. And I think it's going to be how well he can get a couple points. If it's close if it's close at the end of a set, and Saeta hasn't been in, he's going to come in and they're going to use him. And if he can produce from the line, he's going to give him a little bit of an edge there. Because I think I haven't seen Loyola serve as much, but I kind of know what their offense is all about. And from what I understand, Loyola is serving the ball really, really well, and that's going to be a constant. And so, again, you go back to the serve-pass battle, but if Jevis can slow down Irvine's left side guys, then it's going to be interesting. The other thing to look for is Niffen going to go matchup? Will he maybe put Willison in the front row against Jevis and not worry about setting over to the taller blocker too much, and then concentrate on the quick pick and overhead? And that's the other thing I think people should look for, is how is that going to match up? Is Jevis going to be against Willison? Is Jevis going to be against Hershko?